Hello everyone and welcome to F.Y.I. Uxbridge. I'm your host Barry Giles, station manager here at Uxbridge Community Television. And F.Y.I., for those of you who don't know, F.Y.I. Uxbridge is a program about the people, places, and events that are going on in our little town of Uxbridge. And today my guest is the town manager, Stephen Setti. Steve, thanks for joining me again. And today we're going to be discussing the special town meeting that will be happening on Tuesday, December 17th. And the location has changed to the Uxbridge High School Auditorium, and that will be at 7 p.m. And Steve and I are going to go over the very short warrant. So this will be a fairly quick meeting. Hopefully.
Yeah, should be.
Knock on wood, and so on. So let's jump into this. Let's talk about Article 1 to approve the transfer of cable enterprise funds retained earnings.
Right, and I think there's just some setup to this because I think Article 1 and Article 2 kind of go hand in hand. I think if we set it up now, it'll make the flow a lot easier. Obviously, everybody, most people now are starting to cut the cord, so to speak, from cable and moving to streaming. What people don't realize, though, is we get a percentage of all cable subscribers' fees back to the town of Uxbridge to fund what we're doing here today, Uxbridge Cable Television, through the PEG Access grant that we receive. As subscribers go down, that number goes down. So when we do a budget every year, we think of we look at what our anticipated number or anticipated revenue is, and we build our budget based on that. Article 1, what it is asking is to supplement some of the retained earnings, which on non-enterprise would be free cash and things along those lines, with a small portion of that money to the Uxbridge Cable Enterprise Fund now. And the reason for that is because the anticipated revenue fell short. And if people get a copy of the warrant, they'll see that the number of subscribers over a number of years has gone down, and that's what's caused this to happen. So we're only looking for less than $16,000 to supplement the budget. You know, you do a great job, you know, with the money you have and running the Uxbridge Cable Television, which will lead us into Article 2, where people are going to look at that and say, well, wait a minute, it's saying we're going to dissolve the enterprise fund.
Right.
What does that mean for the future of Uxbridge Cable? Well, it's actually a good thing because now it's going to become a department of the town.
Right.
It is a department of the town, but it's funded differently because it's through ratepayers. This way, it'll be funded just like every other department is, but all that revenue that still comes from cable will be directed to the Uxbridge Cable, department,
right.
And any retained earnings that are still available are going to stay with the department as well. So it's not a negative thing. I know I've heard from some folks that, well, why are we doing away with Uxbridge Cable TV when they do a lot of great things? And they'll say we're not. We want to make sure that we can keep it, make sure it stays as an important department of the town, and that the great work that you all do, and you and your staff, will continue to happen for a number of years going forward. So the first two votes, or the first two articles, first one is to make sure we fund it properly for this year, and then the next one would be to dissolve the cable enterprise fund, but that sets us up for the May town meeting, where now Uxbridge Cable TV will actually be a department of the town. I know it sounds kind of confusing to people, but it's actually a good thing.
Right, it is. And to kind of piggyback on this, we're not the only town going through this. There are a lot of TV stations in Massachusetts that their revenue source is dwindling, and they're struggling to find ways to supplement that and so on. And once again, there are some towns that have a nonprofit running it, and then there are other towns that have a town department running it and so on. And a lot of the people I see through Mass Access organization and so on, everybody seems to be struggling through this. But also, this and the other article, funding it, is also driven by the Department of Revenue requiring us to fund these in order to set our tax rate.
Right, exactly. And that's why Article 1 is actually on this warrant, is because we wouldn't have the department fully funded because of the revenue aspect of it. That's why we need to do this. It's again complicated procedure that the Commonwealth puts us through, but I understand why.
Right.
But this will allow us to complete the this and then the other two articles as well that we'll still talk about, allows us to set that tax rate, get tax bills out on time, and that way the normal process happens. If we don't get a quorum at this meeting this time, we should have probably maybe
started
started it
with
up
that
front.
one.
Yeah, it's why we're doing it on the
Exactly.
17th when everybody say, well, I thought it was the 10th. Well, we didn't get a quorum. We were 12 people short of 50, which I thought we were going to hit 50 easy, but that happens.
Same here.
But there's a lot going on. I mean, let's face it, a lot going on during the holiday season. Yeah, exactly.
Busy, sports starting up again.
Yeah, exactly. So by not having that quorum, we have to come back and do this. Now, if we don't get the quorum, what ends up happening is we won't be able to set the tax rate until we actually do. Now, does that mean we call another special town meeting, maybe in March or something to do this? But then we're still moving down that line. Obviously, tax bills go out, at the end of January. That first quarter payment's made. That kind of keeps the flow of the town moving forward. If not, we have to take out what's called revenue anticipation notes, which is basically a loan on the money that we anticipate collecting for taxes.
Right.
But we're paying interest on that, and that's obviously costing taxpayers money. So the easiest route is to make sure we have a quorum, make sure we vote these things and have it done properly, and then set the tax rate and move forward. The other negative for taxpayers, if we don't, because somebody could be listening out there and say, well, that's maybe not a bad thing.
Right.
I'm not going to get my tax bill till
Right.
May. But what happens is then you get hit with the first bill, and then right after that, you're going to get hit with a double bill to start the next year off. And I think that's where the negative is, because that's where it's going to hit people a little bit harder. So if we can continue to follow the process, I think it just makes it for a little bit smoother transition for everybody. If anybody watched the rate hearings, we did set a tax rate. I believe, talking to the assessor yesterday, you can go online, you can see what your new assessed value is of your home, multiply by what the projected rate is, and you can get an idea what your tax bill is going to be anyway. We did increase the split between residences and businesses, so the businesses will be a little bit higher, so there'll be a little bit of a shift of a burden there and not as much to the residents. So hopefully all these things happening together will make it so that things stay affordable in the town of Uxbridge. I know this isn't what the topic of our discussion is today,
Right,
but
no,
I'm going to throw a quick plug out that as of the end of December, we have a new community electricity aggregate program. So if you've already been on it, you don't have to do anything. It'll shift you automatically, the rate automatically for your bill in January. I think it's January 25th's bill. If you haven't signed up, you may want to, because the rate we have for the town is at 13.7 cents. Now, it was 18.5, so now we've lowered that by 5 cents. So hopefully, combination of different things happening, some savings that people have, it'll make tax bills affordable, and obviously we hear about water and wastewater bills as well. But hopefully we can keep those in check as well.
That's great. That's good news.
Yep.
Yeah. Feel free to throw anything like that out anytime. Anytime.
Any good news?
Any
right?
good news and
Okay.
everything else. All right. We touched base on Article 2 already.
Yep.
And so on. And we'll head to another enterprise account, which is the wastewater enterprise budget.
Right. So this is going to sound a little counterintuitive, I guess, because if you read this, it says we've already appropriated money at the Maytown meeting for this budget, and that the budget is that budget. However, we appropriated retained earnings to the budget as well. Retained earnings hadn't been officially certified at that point, and you can't allocate non-certified monies to the budget. So the best analogy I can use is, real soon we're all going to be doing our taxes. You do your tax return and it says maybe you get a $5,000 return. Well, you can't take that piece of paper and go wherever and make a $5,000 purchase and say, well, I know I'm going to get the money.
Right.
So why can't I just put this down payment on the car or whatever
Right.
it might be. They're going to look at you like, why would
No.
we do that? So similarly, in a, contextually here, same thing happened here.
Mm-hmm.
We know we have the money. We appropriated the money, but now the state's saying you can't do that.
Right, 'cause
You
it
got
wasn't
because it wasn't certified. So all we're going to do is go back, correct the vote. No new money. It's not going to cost anybody any more money out of their pocket. But that's what's going to happen on both Article 3 and Article 4. It's the same
Right.
exact thing. So that's why we're saying it's going to be a fairly quick meeting, because in many ways it's just housekeeping,
Right.
a
So-
lot of things.
Okay, that makes it very simple and
Yep.
so on. Once again, Article 4 is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Doing adjusting the funding source for that, and that's it for town meeting. We should mention, let's talk about the recommendations from the Finance Committee and the
Yeah.
Select Board and stuff like that. And once again, if you missed the opportunity, we have the public hearings on uxbridgetv.org. You can go back and see how the votes were taken, discussions that were going on while they were making these recommendations. Going back to Article 1, I think all these were favorable actions from the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen.
I think there's only one. I think
There
it's
was-
Article 2
Yeah.
had one negative vote, but it wasn't so much what we're looking to do, it was the timing.
Right.
And I think the person who voted no felt that we could have maybe delayed doing this into the spring or even into next fall.
Right.
But when we talked through the whole process, it just made it, if we would have waited till the spring town meeting to do this, we still would have had to have had a special town meeting.
Okay.
Because we would have gone into the spring meeting still with an enterprise budget
Right.
for Uxbridge Cable. Now, if we, retain earnings and all these other kind of things, or if revenue still fell off, we would have been kind of going through this whole
Right.
process again. What we wouldn't have been able to do is make this a department of the town. So we would have had to have had, as soon as that meeting ended, had a special town meeting within that regular meeting to do exactly what we're looking to do here in Article
Right.
2, and then vote to make the department part of
Right.
the town's budget, where we would have had to have another budget. That's the municipal budget, which included this.
Right.
So it was kind of too many steps to happen. So by doing this, it sets everything up properly so that it's just an easier flow in May, and we don't have to have that special town
Right.
meeting. I'm not just full disclosure, I'm not a big fan of special town meetings. First off, I think the connotation of special town meetings, and I'll also back this up one more thing, is to say I like the way what our charter does. Our charter says if you're going to have a special town meeting and you're going to go for an appropriation, the threshold is going to be higher than what it would be in a regular meeting. So a regular meeting might be just a normal majority. Here, you still have to hit 2/3.
Right.
So you do have to hit that higher threshold, and I think that was put in place because a lot of times people would hold special town meetings because they know and perfect example, what happened on December 10th is the attendance is usually a little bit lower.
Right.
So you could slide something through, and then everybody says, well, wait a minute, how'd that happen?
Right.
And they go, oh, they had a special town meeting, and and the whole thing. So I'm not a big fan of special town meetings. I'd rather conduct it during the time where everybody knows it's a meeting.
Right.
It's by charter, it's the date of the meeting, and we can conduct business that way. But these are a couple of unique circumstances that normally we wouldn't face.
Right.
And in order to make sure that we can continue to flow into May, we're taking a step and doing them now.
Right. Doing it the right way.
Exactly.
Excellent. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Steve?
You and I were talking a little bit before, and we were holiday season. Everybody's watching holiday movies now.
Right.
And I was kind of trying to draw an analogy to one of the movies, and the one I came up with was White Christmas. And there's that scene in White Christmas where they want to make sure that they have the inn in Vermont, sold out because the general, their General Waverly,
Right.
was the proprietor of the inn, and the two lead characters, Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye, were served under the general, and they kind of felt bad that and the whole concept of what do you do with a general when they all say General who?
Right.
So same type of thing, but he goes on a TV show in New York, and he tries to mobilize anybody in the New York and New England area to get up there for the New Year, but he makes this plea to everybody that says, you know, the objective is to get to this inn and get to Vermont on this day. So I'm going to do the same thing.
Okay.
The objective today is to get to the Uxbridge High School on December 17th at 7 p.m. And the goal is to pass these articles at town meeting. So that's my homage to White Christmas in a kind of an odd way, I guess.
But it makes the point.
Yeah.
That's it. We need people to come out and help, you know, get involved in town government and how things, you know, operate and understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So they have questions. All right, Steve, thank you again for joining me today for this.
Thanks for taking the time.
No problem. If you have any questions or need more information about the special town meeting, the town warrant, or anything, you can go to the town website, which is uxbridge-ma.gov. They got a tab right on the homepage explaining the time, date, and more information, even links to the various meetings that each board's had, and of course the warrant, so you can review the information. So once again, thank you for watching and have a great day.